Okay, guys, welcome to the Advanced Hapkido Principles video. This is actually, you've got a PDF of what I'm holding in my hand here with this, and you've got me describing them in another video, but we're going to go into a little bit of detail of what they are, and I'm actually, for the first time ever, I'm going to use a cheat sheet. I never use a cheat sheet. People don't even think I know what paper is in the dojo most of the time. The only people who ever saw me with paper was when I was doing Q-show notes. Remember when I auctioned off all those Q-show notes? As a fundraiser, that was fun. But anyways, back when we started putting the art together, and I've got students who, a lot of them are since retired because of circumstances in their lives, but I've got people who still consider me to be their teacher that go back to the 80s, right? And when we left my instructor and I started to search for other information, the boys and I sat down and we made a list of things that we thought were critical principles. And because even when I've had a lot of black belts over the years, and you gotta have something to teach your black belts or they go away, right? Because if you're not advancing, your black belts aren't advancing, and then people get bored and they leave. But we came up with these 10 principles. So we're gonna give you an outline of exactly what the principles are together as we do this. The first one, and this is a very octagon-oriented principle, right? But it doesn't matter because it applies to Hapkido, and Hapkido and the octagon have been integrated so well that I actually have to sit and think when I try to pull the things apart, right? Because something difficult to do, right? So as an example, we're going to go to this double lapel grab, which we talk about in the octagon course. He's got really good balance right now. I've got really good balance. I need to affect his balance in order to do anything. So as an example, if I'm going to go across this way and I'm going to get a joint lock, he can resist that because his balance is good. So I need to take him off of his balance. So I take him off of his balance by moving my left hip this way. Now we can start to affect the balance. I still have balance, he doesn't. Right? And that's the whole idea of everything we talk about, balance. Right? That's the first principle. Second principle is two-way action. Q-show doesn't work without two-way action. Nothing works without two-way action, but nobody ever talked about it. It was always referred to as doing the technique correctly. So I'm going to show you some two-way action here. I'll bring the camera up closer and we'll just use a finger lock as an example to explain two-way action. When I was a kid, we used to grab each other's fingers. Right? When you grabbed a finger, you would push the top of the finger to try to make it hurt, because it didn't understand example of two-way action. In this case, which is so critical for Hapkido, it's fulcrum lever activation. The fulcrum is the closest point to the body when the lock is applied. That would be this knuckle. So as I apply the lock here, I squeeze the fulcrum, I push the lever, I get a reaction from the body. The same, if we're referring to two-way action in a punch, this is not two-way action. However, this is, right? And you can see, as I'm turning this fist down, I then get my 45-degree penetration on my strike, right? The beautiful thing about kicking is always two-way action. You can't do kicking without two-way action, but that's because of the way the body is presented, right? The other thing, as an example, if I've got a wrist lock, you'll see a lot of wrist locks, which again, we need fulcrum lever activation, two-way action, right? There to there. You'll see a lot of people out of their center trying to apply these locks. Or over this way, now he wants to get me out. He's going to try to take me out of my center while he's doing it. I'm doing this, right? I need everything to be centered and as close as possible, right? Now my triangle this way works very, very well. Bring everything into my own center, right? Intent, then we can't demonstrate intention. If you don't see what's going to happen, it's not going to work. That's just the way life is. Everything is created twice. There is not a single object that the human race is responsible for the creation of that was not created twice. This room is full of heavy bags and lockers. Somebody thought of those things first. If they had not envisioned them, they wouldn't exist. And that's the same with martial arts training. You have to begin with the end in mind, to quote Stephen Covey. Okay? That's a great quote too. Then we need to deal with the idea of there being pressure point contact. So if I have a finger lock as an example, I have a certain amount of contact with the joints, and that's going to make it effective. But if I want to be very effective with it, as an example, I could come up and I can touch pericardium 6. That will give me a better response. I can come in, I can go to triple warmer 11 and get a better response. And all I'm going to do is contact him on different pressure points in the body to get the result, right? You want to have as much contact, and it doesn't have to be a strike, it just has to be contact with the area, and that will bring you as a better result. Now this is a pure octagon sort of thing. So we're kind of stepping back into beginner's octagon, and I've tried to separate these courses. I've tried to separate Kyusho, Hapkido, octagon, and probably something else that I haven't thought of at the moment.
DMAC.
Yeah, DMAC is another example of a separation of all those things. Okay? Now, we are in energy conflict. The best man is going to be the one who wins here. I cannot stay in this zone. Otherwise, I'm in a fight if I stay in this zone. I'm going to move to get out of the area as best I can. From here, if I need to strike or do whatever, it becomes much, much simpler to do, right? I want to avoid the energy conflict. Now, the next one is, and this is the one that always makes me laugh, and it doesn't exist in the real world. He's going back there and he's looking fierce. And I, as a karateka, yeah, no, right? That is a stable stance. There is a time for stability. Most of your time you're going to be spending as being mobile. You do not stay in the zone. If he's going to punch me, I'm not going to stay here. I'm going to move out and then move back in and go all around. American Kempo. It's one of the things, I've never wanted to pursue American Kempo, but I love to watch it. To watch Steve Stewart move is incredible. And one time I had the privilege of being at a grading for his Kempo students in London. I had the joy of sitting with Frank Trejo when we were doing that. That was great. Being with Grandmaster Frank the Tank Trejo was a lot of fun. But I had Grandmaster Trejo on one side, Grandmaster Steve Stewart on the other side, and I looked at them as they were doing their self-defense techniques, and I kind of went, this guy was dead like half an hour ago. Right? Because it's just non-stop movement and striking. It is really cool. But they understand what mobility versus stability is. They're masterful at it because everything they do revolves around that basic principle. Right? It does for us too, but not quite so much. And then the idea of increased body contact, right? He grabs me both arms. Why would I have a problem with this? Right? I want to increase this contact if I can, because if I want to get some kind of a result, I could come this way, then I'm out. Right? I can control, and I can get more. Right? The more contact you have with the body, the better the result will be, and that's an electrical connection thing. You see that a lot in Kyusho. If he grabs me one hand by the throat, right? He's a big guy, he's got me by the throat with one hand. And he's going to be in my face with this. He'll come in my face a little bit more with this. Oh, this is perfect. I can just pop him right here and he's going to go out. And then I can increase contact by doing this before I pop him and he's going to go out. Because I've increased the amount of electrical conduction between us, and that will always improve my result, especially if I am emotionally neutral to what goes on. And that's what advanced level octagon's about. That's what advanced Hapkido's about. It's that emotional neutrality. Okay? And then if we look at the idea of attack, if you look at akata, we've got akata as Kiban Hyung. Hyung is the Korean word for kata, number 1. And you watch people, they'll sit down and they'll go into their horse stance and they'll punch. And I have no 45-degree angle of attack doing this. I have to move this into the triangle, and then what angle does the arm hit the body at, right? You always want to be attacking. You move to a 90-degree angle to be safe. You attack at a 45-degree angle. If I here and I try to punch the center, it's not going to work so well. But if I move to the side and then I attack the center line, right, which in this case would be an open hand, would be a better tool. I have the 45-degree angle. It works far better that way. And then the last thing is the idea that techniques should flow. So if I get a finger lock, I don't want to be in a position where he is going to fight me on the finger lock. I want to flow him into other areas, because as I do this, I can flow into other techniques. I can control him, I can take him down, I can do all sorts of different things with him by transitioning from one technique to another wherever possible. Right? In a striking situation, you're hoping that they go down from the strike, but quite often they don't. Right? Especially the first strike, it's quite often takes more. That's why you have set up on other things. Anyways, that's a summation of the 10 principles of Hapkido. Hopefully you got something out of that. Have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks.